Blessed is the kingdom of the Father, and of the Son, and of the Holy Spirit, now and ever, and unto ages of ages. Amen. Christ is risen from the dead, trampling down death by death, and upon those in the tombs bestowing life. Christ is risen from the dead, trampling down death by death, and upon those in the tombs bestowing life. Christ is risen from the dead, trampling down death by death, and upon those in the tombs bestowing life.
So after finishing seminary in May of 2006, we came back to the area. Shortly thereafter, I met with Father Nicholas for the first time, and that was under the guidance of His Grace Bishop Antun. I had met him at the Archdiocese, which is near the seminary, and we spoke a little bit, and I told him about my hope to potentially serve in the Antiochian Church, how I love their vision, their sense of evangelism to the greater North American people. And after being ordained to the priesthood in June of 2007, at that point, Father Nicholas said to me, well, you're going to have to go and take your first parish. I don't know where that's going to be, but maybe one day you will be able to come back and help me start another mission here in the area. When we had the chance to return in 2014, many things had to work together, and by the grace of God, I had this opportunity to take my family and to come back to the area. We could be closer to family, and we could put down roots. And so I went to work as the assistant at All Saints.
So when we started All Saints, we decided at the very beginning that we did not want to grow to be too large, that we would branch off and we would create a new mission church. So as this mission grows and becomes its own church, then the idea is that we'll take and do the same thing. When we reach a certain number of parishioners or a certain number of families, that we will again break off from this church and create a new mission.
At a certain number of parishioners, you know, if you get to 300, 350 parishioners, it becomes very difficult for one pastor to take care of them. And All Saints was always hoping to be a one-priest parish. And in order to keep it a one-priest parish, there needed to be a plan in place in case it got too big. And things happened, and God blessed it, and it did get big. And the decision was, do we stay together and build another even bigger church? And what I would say is, do we grow vertically, or do we grow horizontally and spread the church out? And ultimately, we felt like that was the best decision. One of the duties that I had was to begin to do preliminary research into where we would put a mission if we had the ability to put it anywhere. We took a database of all the addresses of all the families of the church, and we figured out where the center was and where we should put the next church in relation to that church, where the people were clustered, because you don't find them evenly spread all over. You kind of find them in little clusters. Father Nicholas put out that call to the whole community and said, we're going to get ready to start a mission church. Any of you are free to go to it, but those of you who go, you have to understand that it's a big commitment.
When we first heard that there was going to be a mission, we were still pretty new in the Orthodox faith. So originally we thought, you know, like we really just need to sit back and take some time to absorb things. As time passed, Father James came on board to All Saints and things started to get a little more real. it was about time for us to start getting involved, and we really felt that there was no better way to get involved than with a fresh new church to kind of get a running start, I guess, because there's lots of room for people to do jobs, and definitely it made an easy fit in the new mission.
When you start a mission, we rely on the Lord, and we also rely on some planning. We had already done the initial work to figure out where we should put the next church in relation to where our population centers are, and also we have to be in an area that's growing and that's thriving. You can't go into a ghost town and expect that you're going to get a lot of new faces at your church, because that's just not necessarily human nature, right?
It was pretty traumatic, though. I mean, for the piece of people, and I honestly think it was a little bit more traumatic for the people that stayed behind at All Saints than the people, those of us that left and became a new church. We came and we had a job to do, and it was a lot of work, and the people that were left behind missed us. And we certainly missed them too, but we were busy. It's been more work than I expected, and it's been way more inspiring. We came here with some of the people from All Saints, but a lot of people from All Saints that I didn't really know. And working together with them all and getting to know them to form a community has really been a mission of love. I think St. Raphael has been looking out after us, and you can just see his blessings and his grace he's been giving us throughout our life cycle. And actually one of the things that I find most inspiring in the parish is the children. If you ever visit St. Raphael, you notice we have quite a number of children. And knowing that these parents are taking the time and effort to bring them to church, and when you hear the little ones singing some of the hymns, just filled to the brim with love, it's pretty inspiring.
We took a pledge, a pledge commitment from every one of those 22 families. We basically said to them, what are you willing to do for the next year or 2 years to support this mission? I didn't look at those numbers, but we had people who did look at those numbers, including Father Nicholas, who really was, spearheading the start of this mission. By doing that, we were able to break down what the average giving was per family. We knew what the finances would look like in the first year. I think that's an important step, because it's easy to go in there with a lot of hope and faith, but sometimes our faith is misguided.
What probably attracted me more than anything else, both in Father James and in among the people, is this is about their faith. This is not about, just, oh, this is what we do, this is our family. It's about Jesus Christ here. And that was something that was very attractive to me. I think the idea of establishing Mission Church is amazingly right, in the sense of, you can have a parish with 3,000 people, If you have a large church, if you would take that money that you would do for all of the fundraisers and think about putting together a mission church, providing them with a building, rather than adding millions of dollars to an existing church, take the population, look at the demographics, who goes where, take a portion of those people and set them someplace else, and give them a church without a mortgage, that they don't have to struggle and worry and do all the fundraiser things and all the things like that, but can focus on their faith, focus on their children, getting them grounded, focus on the community around them, and being a light for Christ.
We had no guarantees how many families we were going to get to support it. What Father told me is, look, we're so committed to this that if you only have 10 or 15 families, we're going to help to subsidize and make sure that you can get on your feet and stay on your feet for your first year or two. There's also a risk that you ask for families and you get too many families, and then you could potentially leave the bigger church in a bind. And thankfully that wasn't the case, but we had an agreement that if that was the case, we would make sure that financially we didn't destabilize All Saints. All Saints needed to be, as the mother church, needed to be a stable place. And it was stable. And until it's a stable church, you're not going to be able to go and start another church. I don't think missions can start other missions. You have to have a stable church. And God blessed you with that. You didn't do it. God did it. And if God does it and He blessed you with it, then be a blessing in return and go and start other churches and obey the commandment of Christ to make disciples of all nations.
So I have been a part of several or a couple Protestant church plants, but very early on when they started talking about the potential for starting a mission, once we reached a certain point, and I remember very quickly talking to my wife about it. This was something that intrigued us. I don't know that it was ever really in our minds an option not to be a part of the mission. We really felt like it would be a wonderful opportunity for our children to experience that whole beginning of a new church and all the things that God can do through that whole process.
A special collection was taken from the beginning, and this collection was to support the mission. And so we left and we were given almost everything that we needed. And of course in the times of the Acts of the Apostles, they didn't have fancy things either. There are some churches that maybe have more than one priest already, and some of those churches may be at that stage where they could think about taking that priest who's been there for a little while and asking to see if there are others who are interested. And it shouldn't be seen as a competition. You know, like the senior priest has to be a man who is mature, confident. We're not all called to serve in missions. And if you're blessed with the opportunity to help start a church from the ground up, you really will lean on God. Why are we doing this? Is it because I want to, highlight our community and be in the spotlight? And the answer is absolutely not. It's good to tell the story, and it's good to highlight the successes in our archdiocese and in our local churches. And sometimes those successes could potentially inspire others to try to do the same thing. The hope is that we inspire some other churches and people to think a little bit more globally about how we can expand our Orthodox witness to the world. And God is tangible to us when things are a little bit uncomfortable and unsettled in our lives, and certainly starting a mission is like that.